this is gonna be a disaster. There we go. That time of the year. Got the fireplace and got my oil burner going. Well, welcome back, YouTube. It's been about a month and maybe some change, but we've been working on getting the transmission and getting Peg Leg Penny ready for the racetrack day. And I gotta say, afterwards, it turned out pretty good. There's a lot of improvement to be had on it. But right now we are working on basically getting it winterized because I had a ton of water in it for the racetrack. So the 480E is pulling the center support up out of it. It is really difficult to get the center support down inside the sprag. So that's going to take some real jamming and whatnot. I don't know what to describe that as. It's just a pain, I can tell you that. But we're going to start working on the upgrades that Transgo offers or says stuff that you want to do with the transmission out. You don't have to do this stuff. It's optional. Because this kit was intended for a transmission to be installed and then do it. Where I have it out, I can do the few final modifications and just make it that much better. I'm not going to bore you guys with this transmission build or any of that. I didn't get a whole lot of footage, and it was kind of broken up and not what I like, so I'm just kind of overviewing it. But all you guys really need to know about this 4L80 is it's just really basic stuff. I mean, it's a bone stock internaled 4L80 with a valve body that has a, Transgo 4L80E-3 kit. That just converts the factory valve body into a full manual setup. And then there's minor stuff like springs in the direct drum and drilling holes in the pump to keep the seal from blowing out and just random stuff like that. If you read the instructions real closely, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Other than I had a little bit of issues here and there when I had it in the truck. But other than that, we bought a FTI 3200 advertised stall torque converter that's rated to 750 horsepower with a single disc lockup. It's not what I needed, but it was what got me on the road immediately because the track day was coming up. This was me installing it. I did have some dramas with it. Going through the gears, it tried locking up here and there and doing weird stuff, but it eventually solved itself out after pulling the pan off a few times and fixing it. But anyways, so this is what I was talking about originally when I put it together. Was you heard it go first, second, and then when it grabbed third, it started dragging the motor down. The wheels started slowing down. That was kind of the initial issues I had with it, and I think it had something to do with the forward band and the transmission and something in the valve body not releasing it quick enough. I eventually got it figured out, pulling the valve body a few times, moving some of the springs around and whatnot, but it's definitely nerve-wracking to a guy that doesn't really have transmission experience. other than the transmission being a major deal, I pretty much buttoned up whatever would need to be done with the motor. Did some stuff in the interior, like wire up the neutral safety, tidy up some hoses, put an overflow bottle on it, put something on the vent, put a little Chincadera tail light on it. It's just temporary. Wire runs all the way in here, along the roll bar, and then up into the brake pedal there on the original Super Duty brake switch. And all right, we got the hood open now. But one of the other major things was putting an engine breather on it. That needed to be done. Because every time you'd run it without it, it would blow oil on the freaking hood. And that's the last thing you need running onto those open glowing headers when you're under a pass. Put a boost fooler on it. These iPhones don't catch a whole lot in one shot, so I'm gonna have to upgrade eventually, but just a lot of little stuff. And oh yeah, the big one, new wheels and tires. I have never been so glad to get rid of those Explorer rims in my life, man. Like, them things are hideous, is an understatement. Just those Vision wheels, but I bought them from Jag, so they come out as like the SSR mag or whatever. And then we have a 275 60 R15 radial tire. Cobra, man. They were a lot better than what's on it, and they're also a lot wider. All right, we got it down to Firebird Raceway, very last day of the season. Ran it through the tech line, maybe theorized that it might run an 1150, maybe, I had no idea. So went through the tech line, got in the staging lanes, and I had no idea what it was going to do. So other than just the little bit of driving and launching I've been doing out front of my house, it's got so much starting gear ratio in first gear that I just decided to leave it in second gear to prevent it from hitting the rev limiter and just leave gentle on 10 pounds of boost, low timing, and very first pass down the stretch. So here it is. And bam, I couldn't believe it, but it was on the time slip, a 1083 at 126 mile an hour. I was kind of beside myself, that I thought going 10s would be harder than what it was, just to drive it off the trailer, leave soft, go down the track like Main Street, and it just lays down a 10. Pretty happy with that. But after that, the tech official came to me in the pits and said, you can't go that fast without a certain piece of safety equipment. And I asked him, what was that? And apparently I didn't have a SFI scatter shield over the flex plate, and I didn't have a transmission explosion blanket. So we negotiated it, and he said he'd let me run the rest of the day to like the 1,000-foot mark and get on the brakes and keep it below the 10s, and that's what we did. So the second pass I worked on making it 60 foot harder and letting out early or whatever. So here's the second pass. And second pass, we picked up on the 60-foot spinning, fairly decent, 1/6 60-foot. It went slower to the 8th mile, and of course I let out somewhere before the 1,000-foot mark, kind of on the brakes, so it went 1196 at 86 mile an hour. Still on 10 pounds of boost, still have the same amount of timing as the first pass, so still pretty lazy out the back half. The third and final pass, I ended up turning it up, and we turned it up about 5 more pounds of boost for a total of 15 pounds, and I didn't want to try and leave very hard because I didn't want to strike the tires. It got up on top of the tires last time, so we're gonna leave soft. And it bogged pretty bad off the line, and then it hit the rev limiter and the 2-3 shift, and then towards the end of the track, it made a loud pop up there towards the 1,000-foot mark. Come to find out, it was just me hitting the rev limiter. I ran out of gear. The thing's got 373s with a 28-inch tall tire and an all-knock converter. I mean, somewhere around 130 to 137 mile an hour is maxed if you have the converter locked. I don't have a converter that can handle that amount of power locked up, so I just left it unlocked. So we bumped it somewhere around the 120-something, 130-mile mark. So we'll work on that later, but here's the third pass. And there we have it. Despite leaving the line like a turd and hitting the rev limiter at the 1,000-foot mark and coasting, it still went a 1079 at 111 mile an hour. Terrible 60-foot, 1.9. Yeah, that's slow. It went to the 8th mile a little quicker. It had 5 more mile an hour out the 8th. It was motoring. It felt like how it should, but unfortunately we ran out of gearing. But anyways, we're going to work on making this thing so much faster and bringing it back out next year. It's just crazy that my very first time out right off the trailer, it goes a 10. I didn't think that at all. And I'd like to appreciate my buddy for coming out and at least getting some of the film that we got. It's difficult when you're one guy and you're doing all this to film all this for you guys. And there you have it. Peg Leg Penny's first day out on the track. Pretty happy with it. Definitely going to have some more improvement later on, like trying to figure out how to make it go quicker with the gearing it's got, or find the Explorers with the 355 gear ratios in it. But until then, sorry the video is kind of all over the place. I just kind of got to work and started doing stuff because I'm inexperienced with this stuff. It's kind of my first time having a car that's this quick, or truck. My roller skate on wheels here. Anyways, I'll show you a little bit of bonus footage that I took with it, and we'll end this video off. See you later.